It's Greenwich Breakfast. Good morning. Good to have you with us. Well, a choir locally, which is made up of refugees, asylum seekers and local friends, they meet regularly at Mycenae House in Greenwich. They are called the Citizens of the World Choir. On the line now is the lady in charge of it all. It's Becky Dell. Good morning, Becky.
Good morning. How are you?
All good, thank you. How's the choir going? Are you actually meeting, or have you moved online or something?
A bit of both, really. So we started going online in March to July, and then we went back in person from August. Actually, the New York Times came to cover us. We were one of the first choirs in the UK that went back online.
Wow.
Went back in person. And and then we were in person and running simultaneous digital and in-person rehearsals up until December. And obviously, we're now back online. But hopefully, from next month, the end of April, we're going to be back in person again.
Excellent. It's called Citizens of the World Choir. Tell us a bit more about the name and what the choir is all about.
Absolutely. So in 2016, there was the refugee crisis, and it's still ongoing now, isn't it? But it was really bad in Europe at the time. And a group of volunteers, we went over to the Calais jungle to teach music over there, to spread a bit of love and happiness. And we got to meet an amazing guy in Parliament called Lord Roger Roberts. He's a 80-year-old Welsh peer who campaigns for refugee rights and human rights. He's an incredible guy. And there was something called the Dubs Amendment going through Parliament, which was Lord Stubbs himself was a kinder transport child rescued on the eve of the Second World War from Nazi Germany, and he was putting an amendment through that said, could we get 3,000 vulnerable refugee children over here? And the government, to its shame, voted it down. Lord Roberts has spent a sleepless night worrying about these children and had contacted me in the morning and said, I know, how about we do something for the people who are already over here? And then, being a good Welshman, he said, how about we set up a choir? And so the Citizens of the World Choir was born March 2017, so we're just about to celebrate our 4th birthday, and it has gone from strength to strength. It's been the most incredible 4 years of all of our lives, and from something that started just because of a group of volunteers, we couldn't turn away from what we saw. It's had the most profound impact on all of our lives, both the members and the management team and everyone who gets involved with it. So it's a really wonderful thing.
It's interesting that we're talking today when there's in the news Priti Patel is promising an overhaul of the asylum seeker rules. I guess that overhaul is much needed, but it's good that people like yourself are helping people who come to the UK to flee hardships in other parts of the world. What was it like at the jungle in Calais? We've heard lots of stories about it. It doesn't sound like the best place in the world, Becky.
It was a huge mixture of all of the emotions. You sort of see the best and worst of humanity, and it's really important to remember it was a refugee camp, not a migrant camp. 80% of the people there were refugees fleeing war, persecution, famine, exploitation, etc. And an overhaul of the refugee system is desperately needed, but it has to be done with compassion and appreciation of what refugees go through. And sadly, I don't think Priti Patel's new rules are going to actually help the very vulnerable people who need safe and legal routes into this country. So if there were safe and legal routes into this country, people could be helped a lot more. I think something that's really important to say is how much people from these cultures want to be a part of our community. They don't want handouts, they want to be able to work. Currently there's something, when you submit an asylum claim, you're not allowed to work until you hear the results of the asylum claim, which can sometimes take 9 months, but in some of our members' cases it's taken 9 years. There's currently a campaign called Lift the Ban, which is encouraging politicians to change the rules so that as soon as you submit an asylum claim, you can start working in this country and start contributing, paying tax, paying national insurance, being part of the community. And that's what these people want to do. They've had to flee through no fault of their own, and they want to be part of their new community.
That's a great development. It's also good, as we were hearing earlier, I was telling people about people taking up hobbies, which is good for mental health, amongst other things. Do you find that helps people as well, being part of the choir?
So much. So the choir was started with 2 aims in mind. One, to help healing through the power of music, and 2, to provide community integration. And both parts have actually worked so well. A lot of our members have PTSD, have been through a lot of trauma, and the act of having a hobby, singing, being with people really helps. We actually have a 50-50 ratio of refugees to non-refugees in our choir, and so to aid community integration. And that part is also so important. And without sounding too cheesy, easy. We really are a family. We've got about 50 members in our choir, representing 28 different countries from around the world. So we truly are global citizens of the world.
That's incredible. And of course, singing brings you all together. Unfortunately, I won't be joining because I can't sing. I'm tone deaf. But do you have people of all different abilities?
Absolutely. And I would encourage anyone, even if they're tone deaf, to join. I'm a classically trained musician. My mum is tone deaf, which I always find fascinating. She sings the semitone flats, but she still sings. And I passionately believe this, that singing is our birthright. Everybody can sing. And so I encourage anyone who loves singing to join a choir. We take everybody. I think some people who join a choir are automatically going to be a bit self-selecting, but half of our members, when they joined, had never sung before. You've got to remember, shocking as it is to us, that some countries ban singing, and we even had one member who was threatened with execution because he was a singer. So this really is very freeing for people. So come, sing, join us. It's good for your soul. It'll put a smile on your face. It's a wonderful thing to be a part of a choir in a community.
And how can we find out more about Citizens of the World Choir and get involved?
Yeah, so we are cotwchoir.com, and COTW stands for Citizens of the World. We're all over the socials, as you'd expect.
Yes.
If you want to join us as a member, contact Rachel, who was our member manager, and her email address is rachel@cotwchoir.com.
Brilliant. Well, Becky, thank you very much for your time this morning. Hopefully we'll catch up after the lockdown's over and we can come down and meet you.
We'd love that, Duncan. Thank you so
do a
much.
performance or something.
We'd absolutely love that.
We'll pop down to Mycenae House and see you. Becky Dell from the Citizens of the World Choir. And that address, again, rachel@cotwchoir.com if you would like to find out more. That's the Citizens of the World Choir, made up of refugees, asylum seekers and local friends who meet at Mycenae House in Greenwich.